The spit hit her cheek at exactly 11:47 p.m. on a Saturday night in December. Not that the time mattered to anyone but the security footage that would later disappear. What mattered was the trajectory, the distance, the casual cruelty of a 17-year-old kid in a $2,000 watch who thought money made him bulletproof. Split screen, slow motion, the kind that turns violence into poetry and makes your heart forget to beat. Left side Maya Torres doors. Running through St. Benedict's hospital parking lot, snow falling heavy enough to erase footprints within seconds. 7 years old, wearing her father's marine utility jacket, desert camo, 3 sizes too big, sleeves rolled 6 times, clutching a photograph to her chest like a shield that could stop what was coming. Right side Nathan Blackwell, stepping from a black Escalade, expensive suit, catching snowflakes that melted on contact. Silver hair perfect despite the wind. Raising a Sig Sauer P226 aimed at Samuel Ironhorse McCall, who stood 67 years old in leather vest with his back to the clubhouse door because Marines learned to never turn your back to open ground. The audio layered itself. Motorcycle engines in the distance, that low rumble, promising thunder. Maya's breath coming in panicked gasps. The metallic click of a hammer cocking back. Maya's voice cut through everything. Ironhorse. 3 faces frozen, Blackwell's finger tightening on trigger. Ironhorse turning, recognition flooding his eyes too late because you can't outrun a bullet at traveling 2,500 feet per second. Maya launching herself forward, small body becoming projectile physics in love and terrible mathematics, colliding in snow that would remember this in red. Gunshot, screen to black. White text appeared, the iron promise. Then 6 days earlier, Monday morning, December 9th, 2024. Pinewood, Montana, population 31,000, and dropping by 100 every year, as young people learn that mining towns don't recover when the mines close. Samuel McCall's eyes opened at 5:45 a.m. without alarm, just instant awareness that combat veterans carry decades after their last firefight. His room existed in deliberate austerity. Single bed made with military precision, hospital corners tight enough to bounce a quarter. The nightstand held 3 objects. A framed photograph of Charlotte McCall at 11, bald from chemotherapy but smiling. Dog tags worn smooth from decades of handling. And a silver compass with inscription barely visible. "Find your way home, Daddy." Charlotte had given it to him before his final deployment to Afghanistan. He'd come home to find his daughter gone and only guilt waiting. Morning routine began. 50 push-ups grunting with effort that testified to 67 years of hard living. Weapon check, the Padir 5 under his pillow cleared with practiced ease. Magazine out, chamber clear. Reload chamber, a round safety on. He stood at the window looking down at Pinewood sprawled below the mountains beyond dark against pre-dawn sky. Talking to dead daughters probably qualified as crazy, but sanity was overrated when guilt was all you had left. The words came quiet. Morning angel, still here, still trying. He pocketed the compass where it lived, everyday weight and reminder. 15 years tomorrow since Charlotte died, while he was deployed, unable to get emergency leave because military bureaucracy moves slower than death. The phrase felt casual, as breathing, deadly as prophecy. Some debts can only be paid in blood. He didn't know yet that 6 days from now, he'd understand exactly what that meant. Ironhorse rode Main Street as dawn broke, his Harley-Davidson Road King rumbling beneath him. The 1994 model, Charlotte's birth year, responded to his body shifts with unconscious precision. 46 years on 2 wheels made it instinct. Pinewood's decay showed itself in increments. Johnson's Hardware with its closing sale banner, Martinez Diner with for sale sign, Thompson's Pharmacy dark and empty, red and white signs multiplied like infection. Blackwell Development, building tomorrow's Pinewood. Population had dropped from 58,000 to 31,000 since the mines closed in 2008. But not Ironhorse, not the brothers. This was home, and you don't abandon home just because times get hard. Martinez Diner smelled like motor oil and burnt coffee, that particular combination that meant safety. Rosa Martinez looked up, 72 years old, poured coffee without asking, black 2 sugars, Samuel, like always. The television played morning news. Town Council votes Friday on St. Benedict's hospital sale to Blackwell Development. The controversial project promises 600 jobs, but requires hospital closure. A trucker at the counter snorted, 600 jobs, my ass. Casino brings drugs, brings crime. Deputy Mitchell sat by the window. Montana State Police uniform pressed sharp. He didn't look up, but his jaw clenched. Local law didn't like the motorcycle club never had. Too much leather, too much noise. But something else lived in Mitchell's eyes when they finally met Iron Horses. Understanding, maybe. The kind that comes from recognizing another man who's seen things he can't unsee. Father William Hayes materialized in the booth behind Iron Horse, 62 years old, carrying the stillness that former military chaplains develop after blessing too many body bags. He spoke without preamble. The past always catches up, brother. Every man meets himself in the end. Iron Horse lifted his coffee in acknowledgement. Preacher had a habit of saying things that made sense 3 days later when everything had already gone to hell. The hospital parking lot sat quiet at 8:30 a.m. Dr. Elena Torres emerged from automatic doors, leaning on an IV pole. 38 years old oncologist before her own diagnosis taught her the sick irony of being the doctor who couldn't heal herself. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months without treatment. Maya walked beside her mother, pulling a small red wagon containing medication bottles worth more than the Torres family had seen in savings. The child moved with careful attention, someone who understood fragility. They walked because they couldn't afford a taxi, and the car had been repossessed 3 weeks ago. 2 miles home in December, cold, but walking was free. The black ice came sudden as betrayal, that invisible threat hiding under fresh snow. Maya's foot went out from under her with sickening inevitability. The wagon flipped medication bag, flying bottles scattering across frozen concrete. One bottle hit the curb wrong. Glass shattered. White pills spilled across snow like scattered prayers. Maya's cry wasn't pain from falling, but terror from seeing $340 in anti-nausea medication dissolving into slush. Her hands were bare fingers already red from cold, picking up pills with desperate efficiency. No, 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 Mama needs it. We don't have money for more. A shadow fell across the scattered medication. Maya looked up to find a man who would have terrified most adults. 6 foot 195 pounds of leather vest and silver gray hair pulled back in a ponytail. A scar running from left temple to jaw, white against tan skin, courtesy of shrapnel from a war her parents hadn't been born for. She recoiled, instinct, screaming danger. But Iron Horse stopped advancing, raised his hands, moved slow like approaching a frightened animal. Easy, little one. Not here to hurt, just want to help. He knelt. Getting down took effort at 67 knees protesting, but he descended to her eye level because towering over scared children was something bullies did. The kneeling giant moment crystallized massive man in leather and scars, making himself small for a child's comfort. He started gathering unbroken bottles, checking labels with practiced ease. Ondansetron, anti-nausea. This one's sealed, still good. Maya stared at this rough-looking stranger who pronounced medical terms like a professional. Elena found her voice pride flaring. We don't need charity. But Maya cut through adult pride. Mama, please, you need the medicine. Iron Horse's eyes found the jacket Maya wore. Desert camouflage name tape above the right pocket, CPTR, Torres. Below it, the eagle globe and anchor. His voice changed, went quiet with recognition. Marines, Maya's response came soft but steady. My papa's, Captain Roberto Torres, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. He died in Afghanistan. Helmand's Province, 2018. The silence that followed felt holy. Not empty, but full of all the things combat veterans understand without needing words. When Iron Horse finally spoke, his voice carried texture of old wounds. Your father was a warrior, and I bet he's watching you right now, proud as hell. You're taking care of your mama. He pulled out a worn leather wallet, extracted $400 bills, extended them. Not charity, ma'am. It's what Marines do. We take care of our own. Your husband was a Marine. That makes you family. Elena's resistance crumbled. Sir, I can't, Maya interrupted. Mama, please. You need the medicine. Iron Horse kept his hand extended, patient, and his words carried weight of code and honor that transcended blood. Captain Torres would understand. Elena took the money with shaking hands, while Iron Horse's fingers found the compass in his jacket pocket pressed against it. Flash of memory hospital room 2009. Charlotte's bed empty, machine silent. His hand had been on this same compass thousands of miles away, unable to fly home because paperwork moves slower than death. Present moment crashed back. Maya watching him with eyes that saw too much. He straightened knees, protesting, "Name's Samuel McCall. Most folks call me Ironhorse." Elena took his hand, Maya Torres. "This is Maya." Maya stared up at him, really looking past the scars, seeing something underneath. "Why did you help us?" Ironhorse knelt again, meeting her eyes. "Because someone should have helped my daughter when she needed it." The words hung between them, heavy and true. Maya's next question came soft. What happened to her? The compass felt like it weighed 50 pounds. "She's watching from somewhere better now." Maya processed this, made the connection, nodded. "My papa, too. He was a Marine. He died protecting his squad." Ironhorse looked into those hazel eyes and saw Charlotte staring back. "Then your papa was a hero, just like you're being a hero for your mama." He stood, looked at Elena. "Let me give you a ride home. Too cold for walking." Pride made Elena want to refuse. Pragmatism made her look at Maya's red hands and nod. The Ford F-250 was 26 years old but maintained with obsessive care. Ironhorse cleared the passenger seat, helped them inside where the heater blew warm air that felt like grace. During the drive, Elena's memory connected dots. "Wait, 8 years ago, this same parking lot, my car broke down. I was pregnant, alone, running from—" She trailed off, but the shadows under her words finished the sentence. Ironhorse remembered. Younger woman, 30 years old, black eye hidden under sunglasses, crying beside a Honda with a dead alternator. The memory played back. Him fixing the alternator, her trying to pay him, refusing and handing her $200 in directions to the women's shelter. "Welcome to Pinewood, ma'am. We take care of our own here." Elena's voice brought him back. "You saved my life that day. And Maya's. I never forgot." Maya was staring at Ironhorse with new intensity. "Are you a good guy or a bad guy?" The question carried weight beyond its simple words. His answer came careful. "What makes you ask that?" Maya's logic was pure and devastating. "You look like a bad guy. Leather, scars, big motorcycle. But you act like a good guy. Papa said you judge people by their actions, not their looks." Smart kid. The kind of intelligence that saw through lies before adults finished telling them. Another sentence fell from her mouth, casual, as breathing, prophetic as thunder. "Papa also said children see what adults miss because we're closer to the ground. We notice the small things." The Taurus trailer sat at the edge of Pinewood Mobile Home Park, older model, but maintained with desperate pride. Christmas lights hung along the roof, half working. Through the window, visible on the kitchen table bills. The top one showed numbers in red, 240,000 past due. Medical debt. The American way of punishing people for having bodies that fail. Elena invited him inside. The interior spoke of poverty, fighting dignity, and dignity winning. Every surface, clean floors, swept photos everywhere. Roberto Torres in dress blues, Maya as an infant, family portraits from before war and cancer. Maya served soup, not Elena. The child doing parent work, the role reversal that made Ironhorse's chest hurt. She moved with practiced efficiency. Mama eat some bread, Mama drink water. Ironhorse sat at their small table, ate soup that tasted like hospitality and resilience. Maya asked questions between bites. "What did you do in the war, Mr.?" He cut in, "Call me Ironhorse. I was a combat medic, fixed broken Marines." Her next question carried hope wrapped in desperation. "Can you fix broken people who aren't Marines?" The weight behind those words could have crushed mountains. "I can try." Elena's exhaustion caught up suddenly. Maya helped her mother to the bedroom, small hands guiding larger body daughter, tucking in mother with tenderness that testified to countless repetitions. Ironhorse waited at the door, ready to leave, but Maya returned, moving fast, clutching something. "Ironhorse, wait. I need to ask something important." She extended her father's photograph, worn soft from constant handling. On the back, Roberto's handwriting in faded blue ink, "Protect Mama, be brave, love forever. Papa." Maya's voice carried impossible questions. "Mama's dying. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months without treatment. The treatment costs $180,000. It's only at St. Benedict's Hospital. She paused, gathering courage. Mr. Blackwell is closing the hospital Friday. If it closes, Mama dies. Those hazel eyes locked on his. Papa's letter said, protect Mama. But I'm only 7, I can't. Her voice finally broke through. But you can, please. Will you help me save my mama? Ironhorse's throat closed. He was staring at Charlotte, but Charlotte's name was Maya, and the past was repeating with different actors and identical stakes. He tried deflection. Maya, this isn't. She cut through his words. You lost someone. I can see it. That sadness that doesn't go away. Her small hand reached up, touched his jacket pocket where the compass lived. So, you know what I'll feel if Mama dies. He looked at this child in her dead father's jacket, asking an old biker to fight a billionaire, asking for miracles. But her eyes held him trapped, held him responsible. The words fell out before wisdom could stop them. I'll look into it. No promises. Maya launched herself forward, hugged him with desperate strength. Thank you. She ran back inside before he could take it back. Ironhorse stood in December snow holding Roberto Torres' photograph. His phone buzzed. Text from Marcus Diesel Stone. Town council meets Friday. Blackwell needs our land for casino entrance. He's not asking anymore. Ironhorse looked at the photo again, at the trailer where a dying woman and her daughter slept at the choice that wasn't really a choice. He whispered to the falling snow. All right, Angel, one more fight. Help me not screw this up. Chapter 2. The Guardian, Monday night, 9:00 p.m. The Iron Brotherhood clubhouse filled with bodies and tension. 15 men, all veterans, all looking at Ironhorse for answers. Marcus Diesel Stone stood at the war table, 58 years old, former Army Ranger. His fingers flew across laptop keys, pulling up documents. Nathan Blackwell, age 52, real estate developer. Net worth on paper, $300 million. Reality, drowning in debt. Financial records filled the screen. Chicago mob, $85 million. Personal loan, no collateral. Interest rate that makes loan sharks look reasonable. Father William Hayes sat in the corner, 62, former Navy chaplain, carrying the stillness of men who'd blessed too many body bags. He hadn't said anything yet, but his presence added weight. Raymond Doc Miller leaned against the bar, 65, still carrying a combat medic's trauma kit from Vietnam. His weathered face showed skepticism. So Blackwell's desperate. Desperate men do predictable things. Victoria Valkyrie Chen worked on a motorcycle engine in the corner, 54, the only woman in the Brotherhood Marine Corps engineer who'd earned respect by being better than everyone else. Predictable, like selling hospital equipment to black market dealers before he even owns it. Diesel nodded, pulling up email chains. Equipment worth $2.3 million. Buyer V, Constantine Medical Supply Corporation. Front company for Chicago mob. Pickup scheduled Friday, 8 p.m. Thomas Bear Kowalski occupied a chair that looked comically small under his 6'6", 280-pound frame. 59 Army Infantry gentle giant. So we stopped the sale. James Smoke Washington sat perfectly still in shadows, 61. Vietnam sniper, stop the sale. Blackwell misses deadline, mob comes collecting. Problem solves itself. But Carlos Hammer Rodriguez shook his head. 56 former Army MP. Mob kills Blackwell, someone else takes the development project. Hospital still closes. Dr. Torres still dies. Michael Nomad Pierce, the youngest at 47 Iraq War veteran, leaned forward. Then what's the play? Ironhorse had been silent, but now he placed Roberto Torres' photograph on the table. Captain Roberto Torres, USMC, died, Helmand Province, 2018. His daughter Maya asked me to save her mother. The room went quiet. Diesel spoke what they were all thinking. Brotherhood means nobody gets left behind. Not ever. That kid asked for help. We answer. Across town, Captain Frank Castellano of Montana State Police sat alone at 9:00 p.m. The wall behind his desk served as shrine photographs of Danny Castellano, age 20, when fentanyl stopped his heart. The investigation pinboard connected dots with red string, 5 years of obsessive detective work. Construction sites linked to drug trafficking. Money laundering through real estate. And at the center, always Nathan Blackwell's face. Castellano's phone rang. FBI contact. Frank, I told you we can't move without concrete evidence. His knuckles went white. I'm telling you, Blackwell's dirty. My son, Danny, died from drugs that came through Blackwell's warehouse. 5 years I've been building this. Special Agent Morrison's voice carried practiced sympathy. I know you're too close to this case, but grief isn't evidence. Rage and sorrow mixed. The hospital equipment sale is federal trafficking. That's your jurisdiction. That's your evidence. Silence then. If you can prove the equipment is stolen before legal transfer, we can move. But Frank, you get one shot. The call ended. Castellano looked at Danny's photo. Soon, son, justice is coming, I promise. Tuesday morning, 6:30 a.m. Maya opened the trailer door to find Ironhorse standing there with boxes testifying to grocery store receipts north of $200 in a small gift-wrapped package. Her face showed surprise before transforming, "You came back." Behind her, Elena appeared. "Mr. McCall, you really don't have to," he interrupted gently. "Ironhorse. And yes, I do." The groceries went inside first. Real food. Elena started crying silently, overwhelmed, tears of people who'd been hungry long enough to forget what full felt like. Ironhorse handed Maya the gift. Inside, a medical kit scaled for child-sized hands. Bandages, antiseptic gauze, medical tape, scissors with rounded tips. A note. Every Marine needs a med kit. Ironhorse. Maya's eyes went wide. Is this real? For me? Ironhorse knelt, real as it gets. Your papa was a Marine. That makes you a Marine kid. Marine kids need to know first aid. She looked at him with those hazel eyes that saw too much. Will you teach me not just first aid, everything? How to be strong, like papa? Elena's voice caught. Maya, honey. But Ironhorse was already nodding. Every morning, 7 a.m. clubhouse. If your mama says okay. Maya turned to Elena with hope and determination. She says okay? Right, mama. Elena looked between this grizzled biker and her daughter, saw something forming that might be salvation, right? At 10:00 a.m., Nathan Blackwell listened to Chicago mob representative Victor Constantine explain consequences. Mr. Blackwell, I'm sure you understand our position. $85 million borrowed. Payment due Friday midnight. Blackwell's hands shook. I understand. The equipment sells Friday at 8 p.m., 2.80 million. That's good faith payment while the casino deal closes. Constantine's voice could have frozen vodka. Good faith and 85 million are different numbers. You close the casino deal or we close you. The call ended. Blackwell sat in silence that felt like drowning. His assistant, Jennifer, entered. Sir, the Iron Brotherhood is asking questions. That McCall man? Blackwell's voice came flat. The bikers. They're nobody. Jennifer's face showed doubt. Sir, people listen to them. They have credibility. The truth hit like glass against teeth. Blackwell had money and power, but the Iron Brotherhood had respect earned through action. His voice hardened, then fine leverage. Everyone has something to lose. Jennifer left and Blackwell opened his desk drawer. Timothy Blackwell, age 8, grinning gap-toothed. Hospital wristband. Timothy Blackwell. Date of death, April 3, 2012. News clipping St. Benedict's ER understaffed during fatal pediatric case. His voice broke, addressing a child who couldn't hear. I'm doing this for you, Tim. Better hospital, better equipment. So no other parent has to watch their kid die because the ER couldn't afford adequate staff. He touched his son's face in the photograph. I know you'd hate what I've become, but I'm out of options. The mob doesn't accept explanations. Back at the clubhouse, preacher spoke unexpected prophecy. The smallest among us will pay the greatest price, and through her blood, we will find our souls. The words fell into silence. Ironhorse's voice carried edge. What the hell does that mean? Preacher opened his eyes, looked directly at Maya's photograph on the table. It means be ready. Darkness is coming, and when it comes, the child will stand between us and damnation. Martinez Diner at noon. Ironhorse sat in a booth back to wall. Captain Castellano slid into the opposite seat. Heard you're asking about Blackwell. Ironhorse measured him. Heard you've been investigating him for 5 years. Surprise flickered across Castellano's face. How did you? The answer came simple. I have resources too, Captain. Castellano pulled out his phone, showed a photo of Danny. My son died age 20 from fentanyl overdose. The drugs that killed him came through Blackwell's construction sites. 5 years I've been building their chase. The hospital equipment sale is federal trafficking. That's my shot. Ironhorse understood obsession intimately. Then we're on the same side. Castellano's laugh carried bitterness. Bikers and cops, hell must be freezing over. The response came dry. Enemy of my enemy. Besides, we're not that different. You wear a badge, I wear leather. But we both know what it means to keep promises to dead people. They shook hands, alliance forming from mutual loss. Castellano continued. Blackwell's offering bribes. He tried bribing Dr. Torres yesterday. 150,000 to convince you to back off. Offer expires Thursday noon. Ironhorse's jaw went tight. She wouldn't. Castellano's voice softened. For her daughter, people do desperate things for their kids. His phone rang, unknown number. He answered, yeah. The voice came distorted. Stop asking questions about Mr. Blackwell or the child pays. Ironhorse's entire body went cold. Who is this click? Call ended. He was already dialing Maya's number, hands shaking because fear tastes like copper. Ringing. Keep ringing. Answer, damn it. Voicemail. Ironhorse was moving, throwing money on the table, racing for his Harley. The ride to Torres' trailer took 4 minutes that felt like 4 hours. 60 miles per hour through snowy streets, the Harley's engine roaring. He hit the brakes too hard, bike sliding. The trailer door stood closed but not locked. He burst through, expecting the worst. Maya and Elena sat on the porch, safe, confused, very much alive. Relief flooded. You're okay. Maya's face showed concern. Why wouldn't we be? Ironhorse explained the threat call. Elena's face went pale. Maya's jaw set with determination that looked exactly like her father's. Elena held up a letter, Blackwell Development letterhead. Samuel, there's something you should know. Blackwell offered me $150,000. Cash. To convince you to back off. I have until Thursday noon to accept. The silence carried weight of impossible choices. Maya spoke first. Mama, you're not going to take it. Right. Elena's answer came careful. Baby, $150,000 could pay for treatment. Could mean I'd be here to see you grow up. Maya stood, walked to her mother, took both hands. Papa said some things aren't for sale. He said honor matters more than survival, because survival without honor isn't a living. The words came from someone who sounded 40, who'd inherited her father's code. Elena looked at Ironhorse, seeking something. He knew the answer, but also knew it wasn't his choice. That's your decision. No judgment either way. Elena looked at her daughter, at this man who'd appeared from nowhere, at the choice between survival and integrity. She tore up the letter. Slow, deliberate. Roberto taught me some things you can't buy your way out of. Some fights you have to take. The pieces fell like snow. Tell Blackwell the answer is no. But then Elena's face went white. She swayed, grabbed the porch railing. Her knees buckled. Maya was moving before Ironhorse's small hands catching her mother's arm. Mama! Elena collapsed unconscious before she hit the ground. Maya dropped beside her hand and already moving to check, breathing pulse exactly the way Ironhorse had taught her that morning. Her voice came steady despite terror. She's breathing. Pulse is fast. Probably chemo side effects. Ironhorse knelt beside them. Ardu checked Elena himself. You're right. Good work, Maya. He pulled out his phone, dialed. While Maya stayed with her mother, one small hand holding Elena's other hand, checking pulse repeatedly. The ambulance arrived in 6 minutes. Paramedics loaded Elena, checked vitals, determined she was stable but needed IV fluids and monitoring. Maya climbed into the ambulance without asking permission, sat beside her mother with the fierce protectiveness of someone who'd already lost one parent. Before the doors closed, she looked at Ironhorse through the window. Will you stay? Please? The question broke him. I'm not going anywhere, promise. The ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing. Ironhorse stood in the snow, holding Roberto Torres' photograph that had fallen from Maya's jacket, reading the inscription about protecting Mama and being brave. Some debts could only be paid in blood, but some promises had to be kept no matter the cost. He whispered to Charlotte wherever she watched, help me keep this one, please. I can't fail another little girl. The snow fell, the wind blew, and Tuesday became a countdown to Friday, when everything would either be saved or lost. 6 days until the bullet. 6 days until Maya would prove that courage doesn't wait for age. 6 days until prophecy would be fulfilled in blood and snow and sacrifice. But that was 6 days away. Tonight it was just an old warrior making a promise he didn't know how to keep to a child who believed he could save her dying mother, to a dead daughter who watched from somewhere better. And sometimes that was all you had. Sometimes that had to be enough. Tuesday, December 10th. The day arrived cold and gray. Montana's sky pressing down like a held breath, waiting to exhale. Snow had fallen through the night, another 6 inches covering tracks and signs, and the evidence of Monday's desperation. Samuel Ironhorse McCall stood in the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse at 6:02 a.m., coffee going cold in his hand, staring at the war table covered in documents that Diesel had been pulling all night. Behind him, the memorial wall held photographs of 15 fallen brothers, men who died in wars, foreign and domestic men who'd believed in something bigger than themselves. Charlotte's photograph wasn't on that wall. She'd never been a member. But her ghost lived in this room as surely as motor oil lived in the concrete floor. The Brotherhood began arriving at dawn. No calls, no texts. Just the understanding that when crisis came, you showed up. That's what brothers did. Marcus Diesel Stone emerged from the back office, first 58 years old, and looking 70 after an all-nighter, 3 empty Red Bull cans testimony to his marathon session breaking into Blackwell's digital fortress. His eyes were bloodshot fingers stained with energy, drink, and determination. Raymond Doc Miller arrived next, 65 and carrying his trauma kit like always, like he'd carried it through every day since Vietnam taught him that being prepared was the difference between saving lives and counting bodies. Thomas Bear Kowalski ducked through the doorway, 6'6" and 280, made doorways challenging, carrying box of donuts from Martina's diner and thermos of coffee because even war required breakfast. James Smoke Washington materialized from shadows like he'd been there all along, 61 years old, and still moving with the patience that had made him one of the deadliest snipers in Vietnam. Patient men killed more effectively than aggressive ones. 40 years later, that lesson still held. Victoria Valkyrie Chen rolled in on her Harley just as sun crested the mountains, only woman in a brotherhood of men, Marine Corps engineer, who'd earned respect in Fallujah by being better at her job than anyone else and never asking for quarter. Carlos Hammer Rodriguez, David Prophet Thompson, Michael Nomad, Pierce, all the rest filed in until 15 men filled the room. Leather and scars and the particular gravity that combat veterans carried everywhere they went. Ironhorse waited until everyone had coffee before speaking. We've got 72 hours until Blackwell's deadline. Friday at midnight, the Chicago mob either gets their money or they get Blackwell's blood. He's desperate. Desperate men make dangerous choices. He gestured to the documents spread across the table. Diesel spent last night pulling everything from Blackwell's servers. Financial records, email chains, construction permits. 5 years of corruption documented and waiting for someone to connect the dots. Diesel took over, voice hoarse from exhaustion. Nathan Blackwell owes $85 million to Victor Constantine, who fronts for the Chicago outfit. The hospital equipment sale gets him $2.3 million, not nearly enough, but it's supposed to be good faith payment while the casino deal closes. He pulled up an email chain that made everyone lean closer. From Victor Constantine V. Constantine at medicalsupply.com to Nathan Blackwell, N. Blackwell at blackwelldev.com. Date November 15th, 2024. Subject re-equipment. Acquisition confirmed. Hospital medical equipment purchase 2 and 3 memo. Pickup Friday, December 13th, 8:00 p.m. Payment on delivery. No delays accepted. Our mutual friends in Chicago are watching this transaction closely. Failure is not an option we're entertaining. The threat was clear, even in corporate speak. Father William Preacher Hayes spoke from his position by the window where he'd been standing, so still most people forgot he was there. The past always catches up, brothers. Nathan Blackwell's past is a dead son and a dead wife, and a grief so profound it turned a healer into a profiteer. That doesn't excuse what he's doing, but it explains it. Bull Martinez, the oldest member at 72 Vietnam veteran, who'd seen enough bullshit to last 3 lifetimes, grunted. Explanation isn't justification. Man stealing medical equipment from dying patients. Don't care how sad his story is. Smoke's quiet voice cut through. The question isn't whether he's sympathetic. Question is how we stop him without becoming criminals ourselves. That was the knife's edge. They walked stopping corruption without breaking so many laws that they became what they were fighting. Ironhorse laid out the situation. Captain Castellano's been investigating Blackwell for 5 years. FBI has been stonewalling him the whole time. We think there's corruption in the Bureau, but we can't prove it yet. Diesel's fingers flew across his keyboard. About that, I found something last night. Special Agent Andrea Morrison. She's been Castellano's FBI contact for 3 years. The one who keeps saying they need more evidence. He pulled up financial records that shouldn't exist outside federal databases. Morrison's got a Cayman Islands account, $400,000 deposited over 3 years, all from Blackwell Development Consulting. The room went silent except for the hum of the laptop fan. Nomad, the youngest at 47, spoke what everyone was thinking. FBI agent on Blackwell's payroll. That's federal corruption charges, if we can prove it. If, Ironhorse emphasized. Big word, Morrison's smart. She's covered her tracks. These accounts are buried deep. And even if we expose her, Blackwell still has the equipment sale scheduled for Friday. Hammer leaned forward, former Army MP who understood tactics. So what's the play? We can't just storm the hospital and stop the trucks. No, but we can document. Build a case so airtight that even corrupt FBI agents can't ignore it. Catch them in the act photograph. Everything establish federal trafficking charges. Doc's weathered face showed skepticism. That requires getting close to the loading dock Friday night. Blackwell will have security. Probably Morrison's people too, protecting the shipment under guise of federal supervision. Valkyrie spoke up. Then we don't go in the front door. We go in through hospital itself. Use access we already have. All eyes turned to her. She explained, Dr. Torres worked there for 15 years. She's got badge access, knows the layout, has legitimate reason to be there. And her daughter visits all the time. Nobody questions a sick kid visiting her sick mom. The implications settled heavy. Ironhorse shook his head. We're not using a 7-year-old as a reconnaissance. I'm not saying we use her. I'm saying we use the access she represents. There are ways to move through that hospital without triggering security. We just need to map them. Preacher's voice carried weight. The smallest among us will pay the greatest price, and through her blood, we will find our souls. Everyone looked at him. Preacher had a habit of saying prophetic things that made sense only after bodies cooled. Ironhorse's jaw tightened. No children? That's non-negotiable. But even as he said it, he knew that 7-year-old Maya Torres wouldn't accept being sidelined when her mother's life hung in the balance. The meeting continued for 2 hours, mapping contingencies and backup plans and the 100 things that could go wrong. By 9:00 a.m., they had something resembling a strategy. Ironhorse checked his watch. I'm meeting Castellano at County Records in 30 minutes. Going to build the paper trail that connects Blackwell to 6 construction sites where drugs move through. When we hand evidence to the FBI, we want it so overwhelming they can't ignore it. He looked around the room at 15 men who'd become family through choice rather than blood. Friday's going to be chaos. But if we do this right, we save the hospital, save Dr. Torres, and maybe put some corrupt people in prison where they belong. Bear's rumble carried dark humor. And if we do it wrong, then we all go to prison and Maya Torres watches her mother die. So let's not do it wrong. At 9:00 a.m., Ironhorse walked into the county records office where Captain Frank Castellano sat surrounded by file boxes containing 5 years of investigation. The cop looked like he hadn't slept much, either salt and pepper hair, disheveled, tie loose eyes, carrying the exhaustion of someone who'd been fighting bureaucracy as long as he'd been fighting crime. He looked up. McCall,